Have you ever noticed that there are some people that you see and everything that they touch seems to turn to gold? Everything they do, they win. Every time they enter a competition, they come out on top. It's like how is it humanly possible for one person to have that much good in their life? Well, I've got news for you. People who succeed in life, and it doesn't matter whether it's a sporting endeavor, financially, relationally, people who succeed in life are not trying to succeed any more than people who struggle are trying to struggle. So, in fact, I submit to you that trying is never the formula for achieving anything. In fact, the reason you're trying so hard is because you're not all set. You've not set yourself up. You've not set yourself in a position where you can automatically win. And I'm going to tell you something. I shared with somebody yesterday. I said, I work about 1/10 as hard now as I did when I was making 1/10 the money that I'm making now. And it feels way less effortful and way simpler, and it requires a lot less human energy for me to produce the results I'm producing now than it did to produce the results I'm producing then. I remember when I used to be really good at golf. I used to be a 4 handicap. Golf felt effortless. When you shoot low numbers on the golf course, it doesn't feel hard. It feels effortless. But when you're struggling, everything feels hard, and you're trying to fix it. Well, trying doesn't work. Trying is not the formula for success. Trying is the formula for exhaustion. So here's the preface of what I'm going to say. People who succeed are not trying to succeed. It's just automatic. People who fail are not trying to fail. It's just automatic. But why is it automatic? Because there is a preset that is set in us in that particular arena to win or lose, to succeed or struggle. And I know you're saying, Myron, that can't be right. Okay, but think about this. How many successful people do you know that are struggling to succeed? So it has to be automatic. What if you thought of the mechanism that produces your success living on the subconscious area of your mind instead of the conscious area of your mind? Because all of the results that you're producing unconsciously, subconsciously, like below the conscious awareness. And so how do I set myself up in such a way that my subconscious is set up for automatic success instead of automatic failure? So I'm going to give you an analogy. In fact, I'm going to draw it on the board. So back in the day when computers used to be like, you'd have a screen, then you'd have a keyboard, right? You'd have your keys right here, and then you'd have the computer, this big tower thing over here, right? And so you got your monitor, and so you put your software in here. But let's say this is a Mac, okay? And then we got another computer over here. Put your software in there, and this is a PC. If you take PC software and you put it in a Mac, the only thing you can get is an error message. And I know some people are saying, well, but there's a way that you can, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about natively. If you take PC software and put it in a Mac, the only thing you can get is an error message. If you take Mac software and put it in a PC, the only thing you can get is an error message. And so I believe that trying is always a software from a foreign operating system. So if you think of the operating system in a computer as the main software, the what software? The main software that runs in the background. Where does it run? In the background, that tells the computer what other programs it can and cannot run. Let me say that again. An operating system is the main software of a computer that runs in the background that tells the computer what other software programs it can and cannot run. So what happens when I have, this is my own personal computer, but I'm running, what if I'm running a success operating system, then if I put in failure software, so if I start trying to fail, I get an error message. You say, why would you try to fail? I don't have time to cover why you would try to fail. But it's as hard for people who succeed to fail as it is for people who fail to succeed. Why? Because it's not a part of their programming. And so if you understand that we will never behave consistently in a way that's inconsistent with our programming, Because when we attempt to behave consistently in a way that's inconsistent with our programming, we get an error message. Like our body even starts to glitch if we attempt to do something that we feel like it's like we have this internal resistance that won't let us be fluid, right? So, but watch what happens. If I'm running a failure operating system, I just put FOS, a failure operating system, and I put some success software in here. Same as trying. And so what happens is I read the success book and I get an error message because my subconscious mind won't allow me to process, to internalize, to make practical the principles that are in the success book. So I hire a success coach. And then the coach tells me to do something, and then I translate what the coach said into my own failure language. And this is not a judgment play. This is just how our minds work. I translate what the coach says into my failure language, and I say I think he said what I would have said if I had attempted to say what he actually said. And so I translate it into something that he never said nor never intended, but it's the only way I can process it because the language he speaks over here in success land is foreign to me over here in failure land. Right? And then, so what I do is I go to a seminar. And when I go to the seminar, that's more success software, and I'm running a failure operating system, and I get another error message. So the only way for me to change my life is not by trying to change my life. The only way for me to change my life is to learn what automatic success principles reprogram the unconscious, subconscious, or what I like to call the automatic mind, so that I can stop trying so hard. This is why I believe that something I heard Tony Robbins say back in the 90s. He said, if you want to model any form of human excellence, you have to find somebody who's achieving the thing you'd like to achieve. You have to model 3 things. How many things? 3. What are they? You have to find someone who's succeeding. You model their belief systems. So the primary part of the programming inside of you that allows you to succeed or fail at a thing is what you believe about the thing and what you believe about yourself and what you believe about yourself in conjunction with the thing. Are y'all tracking? And so if what you believe about the thing is off, but what you believe about yourself is not off, then you can't have success. And when I say off, it's not how it actually is. Somehow between you and it, there's some kind of delusion. Right? You come to an erroneous conclusion based on something that you learned or someone that you learned something from, and so you've come to this erroneous conclusion and you're operating as if this erroneous conclusion is truth. And so what happens is, in order for me, so if you can remember back in the days, and some of you are too young to remember this, back in the days of 8088 and 8086 computers, like my first computer didn't have a hard drive. In fact, my first couple of computers didn't have a hard drive. I remember the first computer I ever got that had a hard drive, I think it was like 40 megabytes. And that was a big hard drive back then, right? That's like the fraction, that's like a smidgen of a thumb drive now, right? But that was the hard drive on my computer. And when the operating system went out, there was no, well, just update it. No, what you'd have to do is you'd have to go to the store, to the computer store. You have to buy a new operating system. You'd have to uninstall the old operating system and then reinstall the new operating system. Now, some of y'all may not remember that. I remember it because it was grueling, right? And so what you do is you go in the night before. Okay, well, before I tell you that part. So what if in the computer that is your mind, what if you desire to change the programming of the operating system? You have to, 1, recognize the operating system you're operating on. How do I recognize it? Look at the results you're producing. If the results you're producing are not the results that you desire, then you have to change the programming, because if all you attempt to do is change your actions your internal mechanisms are going to resist taking the new actions that could produce the new results until you change the programming. Why? Because we will never behave consistently. Never behave how? Consistently in a way that's inconsistent with our programming. That's why people who hate wealth and think that money is evil can't create wealth. Or even if you don't hate it, just if you think it's evil. Like, well, money is evil. The Bible says that money is the root of all evil. Well, it doesn't say that, number 1. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. And number 2, like, it doesn't mean that the love of money is the root of every single solitary evil in the world. It just means the love of money is the root of all kinds, all types, all manner of evil, which means human beings who love money will do all types of evil to get it.